Hello, my grots and gits, and welcome back to Happy Krumping Wargaming. We have done it. We've accomplished it. We've gone through all of the detachments. We've given lots of tips and ideas on how to run them, the unique abilities inherent to every single one, and we have finally arrived at the final, the ultimate, the best. It is actually the biggest and the bestest of all the detachments. It is the War Horde. Now, a lot of people out there might be a little confused why I am saying War Horde is the best detachment, especially with some of the new sexy things like Bully Boys and Green Tide. When I say this, guys, I am not dismissing the amazing potential of Green Tide. Which even though it's not an army style that I would play personally, Green Tide's really good. I am not dismissing the amazing potential of Bully Boys, which, by the way, I play Bully Boys. I love Bully Boys. War Horde has the highest potential of any of these armies, of any of these detachments within the Orks faction. Now, if you've enjoyed these videos, one thing that you should do is you should go ahead and sign up to the Discord. Sign up at the members for the members only Discord so that you can be posting your list. You can get ideas of how to manipulate them and stuff. You can get lots of high level tactics every single day. And if you want even more, then you can sign up for coaching calls where we can dig into the minutia and the deep depths to try to get you crumping as best as possible. But let's get this video underway. If you want any of those services, just check the Ko-Fi link in the description down below. Let's get into it. This is the War Horde. Now, you've heard me talk about this multiple times about how we have archetypes of armies. War Horde is a kill everything style army. War Horde is one of the hardest hittings. It might be the hardest hitting and melee army in the game. It is shocking the damage this thing can put out. It is hot and heavy. It thrives on game plans that just enjoy punching people right in the nose or any other body part that you can imagine. That's how I actually encourage people to play War Horde. It is a aggressive style army. Now, one thing that a lot of people get wrong when they think of running an aggressive style army is they think what it means is that you just run forward and you smash people. That's not really the way it works. I listened to an interview once, and it was with Sean Naden. If you guys don't know who Sean is, he is an insane player. He is captain of Team America. He is a amazing player and a great guy. But they were interviewing him, and they were asking him how he was doing all these really crazy things with orks, and he gave a response that I didn't like. I understood he was trying to be funny with it, but just bear with me here. I'm going to get my point across. What he said is, basically what I did is I take my army and I run them at my opponent and I kill them. It's kind of true, but there's so much more minutia to this. So remember, whenever you're playing any style of melee pressure army, your primary goal should be for turn one, regardless of whether you go first or second, you should figure out where you stage. You have to know where you move your army. And I'm going to be making a video specifically on staging and finding those spots to really prepare for turn 2 and turn 3. Melee pressure armies like War Horde, like the Blood Angels that I'm running right now, like, honestly, even Custodes, well, pre-Custodes, not current Custodes, not playing them at all, but any melee style pressure army, whether it's World Eaters, whether it is just anything at all. The main question is, in turns 1 and 2, can you stage your army appropriately? If you can, then when you get your go turn down and you charge everything, you will crush, and War Horde is no exception. Anyway, this relies on very, very heavy pressure, and it is a fairly challenging army to pilot. If you just run up the tabletop like a mad lad, you're gonna get wrecked. So it doesn't work quite that way. Although, trust me when I say that when it's time to declare a WA, it will be a WA for the ages. So what has the keywords to benefit from WA? Everything. And this is one of the really cool things about this detachment. It's actually something that we see very often in a bunch of the detachments from other books. The keyword applies to everything. Everything gets sustained hits 1 in melee. This is something that we're not seeing in any of our other detachments, which is a little bit weird when you look at a bunch of the other codexes that have come out. They haven't had anywhere near the amount of keyword locking as the Orks Codex did. But War Horde benefits everything, and it dramatically increases its damage output. And one thing I want to note is that sustained hits 1 is not the same thing as +1 to hit. People say it is. It's not. They're wrong. When you have sustained hits 1, you can't lose your hitting power by getting a -1 to hit. If you have a +1, it can be counteracted by a -1 to hit. That doesn't happen with sustained hits 1. It increases the ability for you to spike your rolls dramatically. It actually ends up being significantly more than just being the equivalent of +1 hit. Sustained hits 1 is very, very powerful. And when you get sustained hits 1, everything in the codex becomes significantly more viable. Suddenly, your Gorkanaut sweep attack becomes, oh boy. Suddenly, your Meganobs hit much harder, especially when they're only being led by like a big mech and power armor. So, sustained hits 1 is awesome. Strengths. The extremely high level of damage output that comes out of this this detachment is just shocking. And for those of you who don't already know, it's not the same thing as the index. People are calling it the index detachment, but it is different because everything's different now. This has incredible strats. The strats are primarily the same. There are a few small differences, and we're going to talk about how you're going to be utilizing those in your games now. And finally, you have the ability to slot almost any unit into the army, and you can get actual use out of it. That is so dang strong. So let's jump right into the enhancements, what they are, and what we're going to run them on. The first one is one of the best enhancements that you could ever ask for. It is Follow Me, Lads. You put this on an orcs model, and they get that entire unit gets +2 to move. This is not keyword locked. This is just any orcs unit, you get +2 to move for the unit. That is very, very nice. You can immediately think of a lot of different use cases of this. You can go War Boss leading Knobs. You can go Beast Boss leading Beast Snagaboys. You can go War Boss in Mega Armor leading Mega Knobs. Having Mega Knobs move at 7 inches is a heck of a thing. Let me tell you, baby, it is spicy. One other really interesting one that you might not really think about is you can put this on a big mech leading, say, mech guns to get mech guns moving 5. There are lots of, now that's not one that I would personally do, but if that's the style of army that you want to play, it's an option. This is an amazing enhancement. It can go on anything and you love it. Then we have Edwappa's Kill Choppa. This was a fantastic enhancement in the index. Now I think it's probably our weakest enhancement, and I'm basically, well, maybe the second weakest enhancement. It's one I'm probably just not going to be running. The obvious model that wants this would be the Beast Boss, because he has the anti-monster for vehicle 4-up keyword. So you would stack this to give him lots of devastating wounds. Only problem with that is that Beast Boss, he gets devastating wounds as his inbuilt ability when he charges. And he's not going to survive if he gets charged anyway. So honestly, Edwappa's Kill Choppa is really not that beneficial on him unless you just happen to have points left over. The other option to really put this one on, I mean, you could put him on any character, obviously, but the other good option would be, say, a Beast Boss on Squigosaur. Suddenly that guy gets devastating wounds with his Beast Choppa. That's actually pretty darn nice, especially if you're wanting to run Squig Hogs. That is a real option. So it's still usable. It's just not as good as it was previously when we could put this on the Smash and Knobs. Then we have Cunning but Brutal. This is probably the worst enhancement in the detachment. Not because it's a bad enhancement. It's just because of the style of play for War Horde is you're generally not going to get a second chance. There's no prolonged combats with this army, I would say. So basically, you're going to kill your opponent when you charge, and if you don't, they will kill you. You're never really going to get the opportunity to fall back and charge. It's something that is kind of useful on, say, if you're running lots of Squig Hogs, I can see that. I don't think we're running many Squig Hogs, that was the problem. Maybe one unit, but I seriously doubt you're running 2. And if you're running 1, you're probably going to be taking Edwappa's Kill Choppa on their Squig Boss. So I just don't really see the use of Cunning but Brutal. People say, oh, but you can use it to reproc your devastating wounds for your Beast Bosses. But the problem with that, guys, is what the heck are you going to survive as Beast Boss leading Beast Snagaboys? Whatever attacks is going to kill you. So you're just not really going to get to use it. Anyway, I digress. Then we have Super Cyborg Body. This is for any orc model, and they gain 4-up Fiona Pain, which is hyper strong. There's a couple use cases for this. One is we can put it on one of our Beast Boss on Squigosaurs to run them solo, to make them basically as tanky as they used to be. They're now, T8 instead of T10, but giving them back to that for Fiona Pain does provide us with a super tanky solo model that can really cause havoc. So it is an absolute option. And then there's one other option, which, by the way, might be the spiciest combo that I've featured on this channel in quite a while, that we're going to talk about in a moment because I don't really want to spoil it. So, strats. We have Corrine. This is after the orc's vehicle rolls a 6 to explode. You get to make a normal or fallback move before resolving damage and disembarking. You can move over any models so long as they're not monsters and vehicles. This is an amazing stratagem. It is an exceptionally good stratagem when it happens. The only issue is you can't predict when you get to use it. I was really would have loved to have seen this be like, hey, on a 4-up, when your vehicle rolls to explode, on a 4-up, it'll explode and you get to use this strat. That would be more usable, but it's okay. This stratagem is still so powerful that when it comes up, it can just win a game for you. Imagine it's the end of the shooting phase and you're playing against Tau. They shoot your truck blows up, you say, pew, let's move my truck 12 inches. I'm going to disembark Beast Snagga Boys 3 inches away from your line, and you say, oh, crap. And you basically just win the game because of that one thing. So Kareen can be very awesome. Then we have Orks is Never Beaten. It is 2 CP, and it's a pure fight on death. Amazing stratagem. This is one of the ways that we beat Death Guard, for example. So we all know you can't charge Death Guard because they're going to fight first and kill you. But if I want to run, say, a unit of boys or a unit of knobs into my Death Guard compatriots, sure, they'll fight first, but for 2 CP, I'm going to fight on death. So they'll kill me, but I'm going to kill them as well. This allows us to actually trade really well. It also makes Orks very hard to charge. Let's say I am fighting a Blood Angels player. You know I'm a Blood Angels player. So let's say the Blood Angels player charges with 3 units. Well, the first unit that they fight with, I'm going to fight on death as the orc player. So they'll kill my squad, but I'm going to kill their squad too. And then I'm going to spend 2 CP to interrupt. And then I'll kill their squad before they get to kill me. So it really allows for a really awesome counter melee play, which is sick. Then we have Unbridled Carnage, crits on 5s. When you combine that with the fact that the entire army has sustained hits on 6s, ooh, spicy. This gets very disgusting when we start talking about combining it with Gadskul Mac Erg Thraka's special ability, which we'll do when we get to his data sheet. Then we have Artist Nails, -1 to wound when selected as target of attacks. Super strong. You're going to love this on your Mega Knobs. If you're still running Squig Hogs, you're going to love this on your Squig Hogs. It did get slightly nerfed. It no longer works on monsters, vehicles, or Gretchens. Well, it never worked on vehicles or Gretchen, but now it no longer works on monsters, which means, sadly, the dream of running the Gargantuan Squiggoth is dead. Sorry, I love the Garg Squiggoth, I do, but Games Workshop clearly doesn't want you to run it in a competitive setting, even for some reason they didn't retire it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they didn't just send it to Legends, because you can't use it when you don't have -1 to win anymore. Anyway, let's move on. We have Mob Rule. This is the big change for the strats when it came to the index switching over to the codex, and it is a amazing freaking change. This stratagem is good. You get to use it at the end of the command phase, and remember, since it's the end of your command phase, you're the active player, you get to choose the order of things that happen at the end of the command phase. The other thing that happens at the end of the command phase is going to be scoring objectives. So, one mob unit that contains 10 or more models and is not under half strength. You get to unbattle shock one friendly unit within 6 inches. The power here is so profound, because what this allows you to do, it allows you to roll a battle shock, fail it, and then unbattle shock, so that you don't necessarily have to spend a CP to auto pass a battle shock first. This is very strong. It's much better than it was in the codex or in the index, and I love this. This can mean that, oh crap, I failed my battle shock test on my freaking Gretchen, so now I don't score 5 victory points for holding my objective. But I have an orc boy squad in range. Boom, you're unbattle shocked. I get my 5 victory points. That is so dang powerful. Then we have Here We Go. This is another stratagem that I think is just very underutilized, and I freaking love it. Start of movement. So the caveat here is it has to be used at the start of the movement phase, which means units that are currently embarked in transports can't use this, because you can't target units that are that are embarked in transports as the target of stratagems. So it can only be used on units that are on the board or in reserves. Remember, in 10th edition, you can use stratagems on units that are still in reserves. You get to add 2 to advance and charge rolls for your infantry unit. Sadly, this doesn't work on Squig Hogs. That would be amazing if it did. But this is still fan-freaking-tastic. Adding 2 to advance and charge rolls for your infantry unit. Suddenly you have a unit of Mega Knobs that move 5 inches, but you roll a die. Let's say you roll a 6 to advance, so you actually add +8 to your advance, because you're +2 to your advance roll. So they move 5 + 8, 13 inches, and then whenever they charge, you're also +2 to charge. If you stack this with, say, oh, I don't know, Follow Me Lads, woo, for +2 to move, that is a very fast moving unit that is supposed to be really slow. So Here We Go is awesome. It can also allow for strategic reserve units to get a effective 7 on the dice charge rolls, which is very powerful. Let's talk about the characters. So these are the characters that we're going to speak about today. These guys are all pretty awesome. I'm not going to go through every character in their codex. These are just there's just a few ones that I really want to hit: the Beast Boss and Squigzor, War Boss Gaz, Mega Boss, and Snickrot and Zodgrod. Actually, I don't think I'm going to talk specifically about Snickrot and Zodgrod here, even though I do love them both. So let's talk about Gazcool first. Let me just speak about this man. If you guys need to watch my math video I did on the math behind our Meganobs, because holy crap, when you include Gazcool leading a unit of Meganobs, the damage output is just so cripplingly insane. So Gazcool in the Watern by himself, not with his Meganobs, just himself, he on average kills a Land Raider, deals 16 damage to it when it has Armor of Contempt on it. That is bananas. Remember, this guy, during the WA phase, he's going to give his unit critical hits on 5s. And since the army special rule is sustained hits 1, his entire unit will be getting sustained hits on 5s, which is very dang strong. Not to mention, in the WA, Makari gives out an aura of lethal hits. So not only are you getting sustained hits on 5, you're also getting lethal hits on 5 for his unit. That being said, since Makari has a 12-inch aura of lethal hits, that will apply to other units. So at the same time, you have a stratagem called Unbridled Carnage, which gives you critical hits on 5s. So you could actually have 2 separate units that are both getting sustained and lethal on 5s during your WA turn. This is insane damage output. I would like to use, so Gaz gets to run up, he gets to do his thing, he kills anything, and at the same time, I'll spend 1 CP for Unbridled Carnage for my Knob unit, so I can have 49 freaking Power Claws coming at you. Lethals and sustain on 5s, the damage output from that is just, honestly, it's hard to even comprehend how much you can kill with that. So it is so powerful that he allows you to have 2 separate units that get to turbo death mode in the same turn. It's so powerful. You can be running him with either 2 Meganobs or all the way up to 6 Meganobs if you really wanted. I wouldn't ever take 6, maybe 5. But yeah, he's a total rockstar, especially since in War Horde, you can give him the Here We Go strat to give them +2 to advance to charge. You really can help with some of the movement problems that having a base move of 5 could be. So War Horde, he loves. Gazcool, rockstar. I kind of hated him before the Codex, but now the Codex is out, he's back, baby. Let's talk about the War Boss. So I'm running 1 to 3 of these guys in essentially every single War Horde list that I run. This guy is going to be leading your knobs and your boys to great effect. When he gets +1 to hit, and then you add in his 9 Power Claw attacks hitting on whatever they are, 2s, just exploding on 6s. It's just crazy how much of a glow up he by himself is to a unit. And one of the reasons why I really actually like him leading boys, because suddenly boys start hitting as if they were knobs, but you're only paying the 85 points for boys instead of having to spend the 105 points for knobs. So it is powerful, powerful, powerful. I love Follow Me Lads on him because it ensures that he gets to where he needs to go, the +2 inches to move. The Beast Boss. Beast Boss is actually very similar in War Horde as he is in the Big Hunt, which we covered the other day. The Big Hunt. Always say that word slowly, right? He's going to be leading Beast Snagga boys. He punches super hard, and when he's at 80 points, his value just skyrockets. You can get him sustained and lethal hits on 5s, and since he's running with Beast Snaggas, they also get to reroll hit rolls against monsters and vehicles. The damage is just absolutely bonkers that this guy can do. And I love them. There's a lot of War Hordes where you might run 2 of them. I think in the list that I have here for you guys today, I'm only going to be running 1. That doesn't mean I'm saying you should only run 1. There's a lot of lists I've written where I have 2. Heck, I've even written lists where I have 3 in War Horde, and I don't hate it. But it's super, super nice. But I do really like Follow Me Lads on him as well. One of the things that you might have noticed already is a lot of people want Follow Me Lads. It's an amazing enhancement. Because I actually tend to like using my Snaggas a lot of times outside of the WA. Because sometimes you really have to kill something before you want to WA. And being able to send these guys out, with an 8-inch movement, they're probably in a truck, which means they get a 3-inch disembark. So they get like an 11-inch movement roughly outside of the WA phase is fast enough to really get them where you need them going. Let's talk about the War Boss and Mega Armor. Now this is awesome. So he leads a unit of Megas to great effect. He gives them +1 to hit. When in the WA phase, he's going to go to that flat damage 3, which is great. But we've been chatting in the Discord. And if you're not a member of the Discord, you really should join the Discord. If you like this content, it's worth the membership fee. It's very low. You can join as just a YouTube member or on my Ko-Fi down below, but we love having you there. Anyway, so want to give a real big shout out to Boss Cooper. He's one of my admins in the Discord, if you guys don't know him. He came up with this idea, and I freaking love it. I want to run this guy solo, so by himself, but I'm going to give him the Super Cyborg armor, or the Super Cyborg armor upgrade. So essentially what you get for 95 points is you get 7 wound model. He is going to have a 2-up armor save. He's going to have a 5-up invuln, and he's going to have a 4-up feel no pain at toughness 6. When you combine the fact that you are in War Horde, so you can make him -1 to be wounded, he by himself is a solo model that just will not die. There's basically nothing in the game that's going to effectively kill him. Like, okay, cool, Angron will kill him, but then you're wasting Angron killing a Warrior Boss in Mega Armor. Okay, great. If you have 1,000 Suns, you can't just plop down a unit of Rubrics and shoot him. They won't kill him. If you're playing 1,000 Suns and you want to shoot 2 Doom Bolts into him to guarantee he dies, won't work because he's got a 4 Feel Pain, so you cannot guarantee that's going to work. His ability to just be a monster by himself is so strong. You can't charge him with an MSU unit because he's still got his 4 attacks with his Big Choppa hitting on 2s, exploding on 6s, strength 12, AP 2 damage 2. So if you charge him with an MSU unit of, say, like, Jump Assault Intercessors, they're not going to kill him, and then he's going to kill over half your squad. So you can't trade MSU units into him, but he can trade into you. He can sit there and just do actions all game long. If you want to kill him, you have to put a serious threat in him, which is going to cost a lot more than what this guy's points. He can also be used for a heroic intervention threat to charge in and mess up your opponent's pylons with their big nasties. And then their big nasties, since you're going to split the unit, they probably won't be able to kill him anyway. So it is just so freaking powerful, and I'm absolutely loving it. And just big shout outs to Boss Cooper for coming up with that idea. Super Cyborg armor, of course, also works really well with a Beast Boss and Squigosaur, but I think this is where it shines. You put him on the War Boss and Mega Armor, and that's what I'm doing right now. Once again, we talk about that Beast Boss and Squigosaur. He's great. We love him. He had the big side grade. He's still very usable. Running him with a unit of Squig Hogs, giving them, crits on 5 using the whatever it is, Unbridled Carnage ability, makes them slap. You can also start him in Strat Reserve with those guys, because remember, he gets them +1 to charge now, which is a very useful thing. So you can have them +1 to charge out of Strat Reserves. You can have an infantry unit you can use Irigo on to get them to +7. Of course, Irigo doesn't work on the Squig Hogs themselves, but what I'm saying is that you can get multiple units with pluses to charge out of Strat Reserves, which can be very, very valuable. It's also really great for doing the rapid ingress to heroic intervention strat or technique, because it's free on him. He gets heroic intervention for free, which is so damn nice. You can of course stack Super Cyborg Body on him to get him back to the 4-up Feel No Pain, which makes him a very tough cookie to crack by himself. But we already talked about Edwap's Kill Chopper. We like that on him. Now, I'm only really talking about this guy because I'm still just not high on Maz anymore, man. And maybe it's just going to take me a little bit of time to get over the soul-wrenching feeling that was losing Maz's unkillableness. But maybe there's a place for Maz in War Horde. You can run him out as a missile on his own. You can run him with your Squig Hogs to give yourself essentially 2 units that have a Fight Undeath threat, because you would spend Fight Undeath using Orcs Are Never Beaten strat on one of your units, and then on Maz's units on 4-ups they Fight Undeath. So you can have 2 units with Fights Undeath, which can really screw with the melee mirror matches. So maybe Maz still does have a little bit of a place in War Horde, but I do like the Beast Boss and Squigosaur. Now let's get out of the characters. Let's talk some about our units. We got the knobs. When you're running knobs, you're running Power Claws. You just bottom line, you're running Power Claws. They're going to be led by a War Boss because that gives them the +1 to hit. It gives them the -1 to wound when they're being attacked by strength that's higher than their own toughness, which is nowhere near as good as a just flat -1 to wound they used to have, but it's still good. Don't lead them with the Pain Boy. The math does not work out. You're not going to like what you have. Don't take big choppas on them. In most scenarios, sometimes big choppas might be worth it, but honestly, probably not. That you want the AP2. The AP2 is such a big deal. But the thing that most people don't realize, I think, is that 5 mans of knobs led by a War Boss, that's 170 points, and it slaps. It is a lot of freaking damage. There are very few times where you actually need more damage than what a 5-man led by a War Boss can do. The big 10-man is Don't get me wrong, the big 10 man is great, and I like it, and I do run a 10-man unit, but you basically never need more than one 10-man unit. So don't sleep on the 5-mans led by a war boss. It is spicy. Flash kits. They're here, guys. They're not gone. I know we're all super sad. I'm super sad. Bad Ruck is gone. It's a tragedy. But flash kits are not. And flash kits got a very healthy points reduction with the Codex release. I like this. At 80 points, these guys are quite darn usable. They are not a make or break unit, but they are actually very dang usable. Here's my recommendation on how to use your flash kits. We run them in 5-mans. We do not run them in 10-mans anymore. They're not really an Overwatch threat unless it's like you got to kill like one model that's charging in or something. But I would treat their shooting as incidental. Like, okay, they have guns. I'll shoot them if I can, but it's not like the goal anymore. They are 80 points. They're 2 wound models. They have 4 attack space, 5 attacks in the WA. They trade up. That's what they are. They're 80-point knob squad, essentially, that you can just send out. They're cheaper than boys. They hit harder than boys. They're harder to kill than boys because they have a 4-up armor. They themselves are just awesome. When you include the fact that their shooting can be very spiky, they get very, very interesting. So I like running these guys in 5-mans. 2 5-mans in a truck can be awesome. So they are not dead. I highly encourage them. Beast Snaga boys, they're rock stars. We love them. You're running them with the Beast Boss. We've spoken about it. We're moving on. Boys, they give you sticky. In War Horde, they give you a lot more damage than is expected. Like I said, I like running a war boss with them because running a war boss with them effectively gives you like a valued knob squad that also has sticky and really high OC. They're great. I love boys. I always take one rocket launcher because, dude, I've had that rocket launcher just spike and kill things and kill like 2 custodes in shooting, and my opponent's like, ah, shit. And I've never missed the single choppa attack that, you lose by taking it. So I always run it with one rocket launcher. These guys rock stars. Gretchen, always super useful for CP generation. They give you move block city. I take multiple units of Gretchen, 2 to 3 of them. They're going to be generating CP. I'm going to be stringing them in front of my army because it's going to force, especially in the mirror matchups, it's going to force the melee armies to charge my grots and not my squishy bits that I don't want to lose. So I love using Gretchen. One thing that you can do if you are running battle wagons, you can always run like a unit of knobs and Gretchen inside the battle wagon. And so what happens is if you're facing like a melee pressure army, like World Eaters, for example, what they're always going to do is they're always going to charge 2 units into a transport, because when they do that, that's how they kill the transport with 1 unit, and then they pile in and kill your unit with the other unit. So let's say you have a battle wagon, and Angron charges the battle wagon, and 6 Exalted 8-bound also charge the battle wagon. His plan is to kill the battle wagon with Angron, and then he wants to pile into the units that disembark with the Exalted 8-bound and also kill your units. Well, if you take it with knobs and Gretchen, you can deploy it in such a way so that the unit that charges the Exalted 8-bound, when they pile in to try to fight your knobs, they only get to tag Gretchen. They have to kill Gretchen. So I like running it like that. So Gretchen are great. I use them to throw away all the time. Now let's get into the spectacular bits. This is the army list. This is where I think this is an amazing starting place. This is very competitive, and it's very, very fun to run. So bear with me here. We have a Beast Boss. Guy's awesome. We love him. We have a War Boss, and this War Boss I gave Follow Me Lads to. This is the +2 to move, and he will be running with a 10-man unit of knobs, all equipped with Power Claws. That is the unit that I'm going to send up, and they are going to punch a brick wall, and the brick wall will crumble. This squad is here to do dirty, dirty things. Then I've got 2 other War Bosses. I love them both. One War Boss will be leading a 5-man unit of knobs, because like I said, a 5-man kills pretty much everything. You don't always need a 10-man. And the other one will be leading a unit of boys, because, shocker, like I said, those boys then trade up in a really, really big way. So I've got the 3 War Bosses, one's with the 10-man of knobs, one's with the 5-man of knobs, one's with the 10-man of boys. Then I have Zodgrod Wartsnaga. Yeah, Zodgrod Wartsnaga gets a super glow up. I didn't really do too much of like a character spotlight on him. Maybe I will in a little bit, but in a different video. But when he's leading his Gretchen, you get the 9-inch scout move. He gives +1 to hit and wound to his unit, which includes himself. So suddenly he's able to basically assassinate most characters in the game, which is very, very strong. He also makes his unit of Gretchen unbelievably fast during the wall phase, because they get like, what is it, +6 or +9 to move? Something. They get an absurd amount of extra movement. Being +1 to hit and wound with Gretchen and -1 to wound on your Gretchen is very hilarious because suddenly units can sometimes just not kill the Gretchen, which is a total freaking blast. So I love Zodgrod. He gets you that sweet, sweet scout. He can do a lot of things for you. And then we have Gaz, Kulmek, Erg, Traka, because yes, you're taking him. He's not necessarily an auto-include in orks, but War Horde, I don't see a world where I don't take him in War Horde. He's the closest I think I get to actually having an auto-include unit in War Horde, in any detachment, really, outside of like Meganobs and Bully. But yeah, so Gaz, his damage glow up is just absolutely insane. He's going to be running with 3 Meganobs. Honestly, it's 3, not 5 because of points. It could have been 2, but I'm going to give him 3. It's super, super powerful. One thing you might notice about this list is that it gives up a lot of Assassinate. I don't care, because the purpose of this list is to charge you and kill you. I will stage on turn 1, and I'm going to try to creep up the board, and then in turn 3, I'm going to charge everything, and I'm going to kill you. If I don't, I'm going to lose. But you know what? That's the life of a melee pressure list. These guys slap, and that is the way that we win. Then we have 3 units of Gretchen. These 3 units of Gretchen are here to enable us. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. I have 2 units of boys. One's with the war boss. One is not with the war boss. The one that's not with the war boss, their job is to either be a trading unit, or they're going to go to my safe objective, stick you early, and then I'm just going to send them up the side where my opponent doesn't want to have to deal with them, so that they can go and just cause mayhem. Maybe score me, deploy teleport homers, score me whatever. But that's the non-war boss boys. I got 2 units of flash kits. They're going to be starting outside of a truck. Then I've got 3 units of Gretchen. One's with Zodgrod. The other 2, one is holding my home field, and one is probably in strat reserve to get a late game, deploy teleport homers, capture enemy, or whatever. They're there just to be utility. Sometimes if I'm playing in the mirror matchup, they're going to be used for screening and move blocking my melee opponents. The 3 Meganobs we spoke about, remember, they are always running Power Claws when you're running with Gazgul, because when you get +1 to hit and wound with Power Claw, it's better to have the extra attack than it is to run the kills off. Then we have 10 knobs, 5 knobs, 2 units of 5 Storm Boys. These guys are my action monkeys. I generally start 1 in Deep Strike, and I start 1 on the board. The 1 on the board is my unit that's going to get me Area Denial turn 1, and then that gets killed, and I don't care. The 1 in Deep Strike is going to be just doing shenanigans for me. Then I have 3 trucks. Now you might notice that I have more units that want trucks than I have trucks. Okay, I use the taxi strategy. So I've got my 5 flash kits are going to be starting on the board. I'm going to be starting beast snaggers inside a truck. I'm going to be starting a 10-man unit of knobs inside a truck. And then inside the other truck, I'm probably going to start a 10-man unit of boys, probably with my war boss. Then what I do is I disembark so that I get lots of free movement, 3 inches of free movement, and then I can hop my flash kits inside a truck and then move the truck and then shoot. So there's lots of things that you can do when it comes to this taxi strategy, which I've detailed in a previous video. So guys, this is it. This is the War Horde. It is the strongest detachment. It's a rock star. It is awesome. If you haven't messed around with it, you need to. It is different with the Codex release. People think it's the same thing as the old Index. It's not. It has changed. The addition of better Meganobs, the addition of Gaz, Kulmek, Thraka, the change to mob rule, the change to the meta overall, War Horde is here to stay, and it is a total freaking blast. If you like this content, hit the likes and the subscribe button. We'd love to see you in the members-only Discord, where we talk about high-level tactics every single day. We also do a lot of other things in there. We've got a Make Food Great Again channel where we share recipes. We've got a gym channel. We've got lots of cool things going on in that Discord, so we'd love to have you hang out there. And until next time, crump on.